Hey mom, can I have a quarter? Hey, it's Fragorn here. Got a build thought. I can't really call this a guide. Um, it's just something that looks very different and very cool to me. I don't know if it's going to work. I know in my previous Thinking About Path of Exile 2 video, I was talking about playing the monk, and that is still a very good possibility. I haven't done put together a monk skill set up with supports yet or anything like that, but am very interested in that still. A couple of the ascendancies in there look really good on both the Shayula and the Invoker. But what I did do was got really interested in the Warbringer. So I've done a kind of breakdown of what I think could possibly work. And it's a minion build. Kind of a weird one. And obviously, I have no idea if this is going to work or not yet. But some of the stuff in here looks like it's going to be good. And it really all hinges on one ascendancy notable here in the Warbringer, and that is Ancestral Call. So what this does is it gives you the Ancestral Spirits skill, and that's kind of what I'm basing this around. And if Ancestral Spirits stinks, this build is going to stink. But if it's great, if it's a very powerful minion, then this could be good. So lots of different things will hinge on this. But what it does is when you summon a totem, you get a minion that's active while the totem's active. So if you can summon more totems, you get more of these spirits. You get one for every active totem you have. That's what it looks like. So the thought is use minions to do most of the damage and then support them in some way, shape, or form. So what I'm thinking for support is a couple of different things. Anvil's Weight, the first ascendancy, and maybe Impending Impacts as the second. Breaking Armor, having my minions do mostly physical damage. So I would be the armor breaker, and they would be the ones benefiting from it mainly. If Impending Impacts works like Sir Gok's video said, this could be just nuts if you can exponentially reduce armor. My guess is it'll go to at most 90%, which if that becomes a 90% more multiplier, you do 90% more damage up to the negative 90 or whatever it is with armor. That's insanely good still. It's obviously not the trillions and billions of damage that Sir Gog was talking about. I don't see how that makes it into the game. So we'll see. That actually may not even be very good. It depends how armor's calculated. We don't know yet in Path of Exile, so we will see. I will test all of that as I'm playing, and if armor breaking is a waste of time, I'll just completely change what I'm doing with the build. But for now, I'm going to assume that it's good, and that's kind of what I'm going to play with. So theoretically, my build will be Answered Call to get the Spectral Spirit, Anvil's Weight for sure to break armor, and then Impending Impacts if it's really good, and then the Wall to get bonus damage reduction from your totems. So a little bit of tankiness there, a little bit of damage boost there. And if armor break stinks, I will switch into Warcallow's Bellow and use my corpses from my minions to explode them. Figure out how to get more corpses into the build. So as it is right now, I've kind of built the build assuming that armor break is going to be good. With my main ascendancy will be I'll take 4 first, then 1, then either 5 or 2, depending upon if I need more damage or more survivability. If I need more survivability, I'll take 5. If I need more damage, I'll take 2. And then rounding out with 4, 1, 2, and 5. Definitely starting with 4 because I have to test those spirits first. That's the most important thing that I'm going to learn in this build as I'm playing along. So how I'm going to make this work is kind of weird to do because I don't even have Ancestral Spirits as a possible gem to pick. I'll show you that when you're doing this little current build planner that we have, which is very limited. There is no gem for Ancestral Spirits. You get Ancestral Warrior Totem and that's it. So No Ancestral Spirits. So what I've done is pretended that my raised zombie is my Ancestral Spirits. And I'm also guessing on how I can support them. All of this is unknown. It's pure speculation. So what I'm doing is using Shockwave totems. And right now I have them buffed with increased limit to get an extra one, which takes their duration from 12 seconds to 6. So I'll have to kind of pump this out fairly regularly, which I think is okay. I may throw increased duration in there if I need to. We'll see. I'm going to have these guys do nothing. I don't care about the totem damage. This is not a totem build. These guys are just support. So they shoot out a slam basically every 3 seconds. So what I'm going to have them do is more of them. They're going to create Jagged Ground, which is nice because Jagged Ground slows enemies. And who knows, if I can find a way to trigger that to erupt, I may be able to. Don't have it in the build right now, but it could come. You never know. I'm going to have them blind. More defense. Enemies blinded are good. We don't want them to hit us. I'm going to have them do it in a big area, so more size of what they're up to. And I'm going to have them maim. So these guys don't do any damage that I care about at all. All they do is apply effects that make the enemy weaker. Maim slows enemies significantly. Blind makes a miss. Jagged Ground slows enemies. All of this in conjunction hopefully should produce a relatively safe area to fight in, is my hope. So, like I said, my raised zombie is fake. It's really my Ancestral Spirit. So pretend this is Ancestral Spirit. I don't know what they're going to do, so I can't really guess what they do for support, but what I'm going to pretend is that they're going to be physical attacking minions. So here's what I've done. Being that I'm assuming they're physical, I'm going to give them brutality. It's a really good physical buff, and I don't care if they do any chaos or elemental damage. I don't assume they will, and I'm not going to scale it. Close combat, I'm going to guess that they're going to be a melee minion that gets up on people and just does more damage when they're close by. Bloodlust, I'm going to apply bleeding through a different source, so this is a very nice multiplier if you can get bleeds on a target. Faster attacks, no brainer. I assume these guys will do an attack, and if they do, I want it to occur more frequently. And exploit weakness. So, as I said, I'm going to try to break armor. So if I can get it broke, every time it's broken, these guys hit, they're going to do a lot more damage for that hit. So we will see what happens with this support. It's a big guess. All right, Skeletal Reavers. Here's my bleeders. These guys reserve spirit. I don't know if Ancestral Spirits will actually reserve spirit or not. All this is going to have to be calculated as I'm playing, so we're really kind of swimming blind here. But what they're going to do is they're going to be my bleeders. They're a weak, fast-hitting minion, so I want them to apply bleeds rapidly, and I don't care if these guys die right after they apply the bleed. I just want the bleed on there so my Bloodlust support hits. So they're going to apply bleed. Hopefully I get it as big as possible. They do less damage with hits, but bigger bleed. So even if they come out and hit a bleed and then die, I get a bigger bleed on the target. If I can get an enemy heavy stunned, and I'm not sure that I can, this support will be awesome because it'll aggravate the bleed. So that means instead of the bleed doing 70% of physical damage over 4 seconds, it'll do 210, I think, is the multiplier. It makes it seem like the target's moving. We'll see. If I can't apply a heavy stun somehow, I won't use this support. We'll see what happens. Swift Affliction, they do more damage over time. It's a little shorter duration of the bleed that they inflict. I don't care. I just want them to cause a bleed. If this stinks and I can't keep enough bleed uptime to make Bloodlust useful on this, I'll remove this and find a different support. And then Essence Harvest. So this is kind of like a defensive mechanism built into this minion. I assume they're going to die fairly easily, and I will recover mana when they die. So this is kind of going to be my little mana battery. So all these guys do is apply that bleed. I may end up skipping the deep cuts, the Swift Affliction, the Rupture, and just let them bleed and do other supports with them that cause me to gain some beneficial effect when they do something or they die. They may become my colors. Who knows? We'll figure it all out as I play. But for now, I'm going to assume that I can apply a fairly decent-sized bleed with these guys and that they'll be good, and then gain mana when they die. I expect them to die. Okay, what am I going to do to break armor? So I'm going to use a scepter because I'm going to be a minion build, so I don't want my damage based on my weapon. And what I'm going to do is use a big shield, a lot of armor, just like the old Path of Exile days where you use shield throw and you get a big armor shield and it adds more damage. Pretty simple. Resonating shield hits break armor. Okay, that's good. I want that. They also do base offhand physical damage, so my weapon doesn't affect this damage. So I'm going to use a scepter that has a lot of spirit on it, a lot of minion buffs, a lot of things for the minion, and I don't care about my weapon damage. It's going to be a stat stick buffing my minions. So I need a way to break armor, and I need to do it with a shield, because if I had a big mace, I would use that, but if I had a big mace, I'd have less spirit, I'd have less minion buffs. That's not what I'm trying to do in this build. I want minions strong. My minions are the damage. So I get 2 to 4 added physical damage per armor on a shield. So if you get a bunch of armor, you get more physical damage. This can hit hard. Anybody that's played back in the old days, a massive thousands of armor shield with shield throw knows that it can hit pretty hard. There was a lot of builds like that in Path of Exile. So and there's some unique one that Emperor something or other that has really high stats for crit and armor. Anyway, you can look at that build, and if you're going to play Path of Exile 1, I could not recommend it enough. Even though this is coming out, I think it's still going to be a great game, and I hope it doesn't die. Anyway, back to this build. So I'm going to use my shield to do damage because I'm going to use a scepter, like I said, for my minions. How do I support this? Armor explosion. This is what I believe will be the main self-damage thing that I'm going to do, and I don't know if this will work or not, but it looks so cool. So it converts 100% of the physical damage from that shield to fire, and every time I fully break an enemy's armor, it'll explode. And I don't know what the explosion is going to look like. It's got a relatively small radius with 1.4. So if this skill can fully break the armor, it will trigger this. This is just a thought, and if it doesn't work or I don't like it, I'll dump it and find something else. Increased armor break. They break 80% more armor, so I want them to break armor fast and frequently, especially if I'm going into the negative armors and how that works. We'll see. It's all going to be a game of what's the best. Since I'm using armor explosion, I want some fire pen because my main damage out of this is I don't think going to be the physical hit of this resonating shield actually channeling the damage. I think it's going to be this. We'll see. Anyway, if it is fire, I want it to penetrate because I don't have any sources of lowering an enemy's resistance, so a little penetration goes a long ways in that scenario. Culling strike, maybe. I don't know. If it's good, I'll use it. You generally want a source of cull. It's not as strong as it used to be because the bosses can only be called at 5%. This may stink, and I'll just dump it and find something else. And Unbreakable. So while I'm using it, and since this is a channeled skill, I have to channel this to make it occur. And it's just like, I assume, just repeatedly strike my shield with my weapon, causing damaging shockwaves in an area around me. The shockwaves will break armor and do damage. So I'll be stunned less, and it'll make me a little more tanky. All of these support gems are completely up to change. Depending upon how much damage I need to do with this skill to break armor, I maybe need to get more basic physical DPS skills in here. Who knows? We'll figure it out as we go along. Grim Feast. It's a nice one. Feeds on corpses to bolster energy shield. I plan to be semi-hybrid. It just seems the way to go. Armor and energy shield work well together, so they're kind of on that top left side of the tree. I'm going to have to go up there to chase minion nodes a little bit anyway. I'll show you more of that as we get into the passive tree, what we have for it. It's pretty limited. So this will, minions that die in your presence will drop a Grim Remnant. Picking it up grants me energy shield and can overflow energy shield. It's like basically the ascendancy for the Blood Mage that works on energy shield instead of life. It seems like it could be really powerful. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to have minions. I expect they're going to die. It only reserves 30 spirit. It seems pretty good. So All of this will depend too on how much spirit I can get and how much I can reserve. I assume I'll have enough to get two of my, remember these are ancestral spirits, at least one skeletal reaver to apply my blade, maybe two, and then I'm going to go down here and go with the skeletal brute for a permanent powerful minion. I'm using feeble as my curse. Just seems the best all-arounder. It could go with vulnerability, but hopefully I'm breaking enough armor from my resonating shield that I don't need any more damage or armor reduction from a curse, so this just is a nice defensive layer. Cast on minion death. So when a minion dies, you build up energy. When enough of it dies, you trigger something. I assume minions will die multiple times during certain boss fights until you get really good and the boss fights become quick. I'm playing all of this as we're underpowered. We need to add as much as we can. I'm going to have it cast Eye of Winter. I'm not planning on going Resolute Technique. So if I can spit out a few free Eyes of Winter at times, what this does is the damage is irrelevant to me. It's cold damage, it's spell damage. I'm not going to scale that, but it applies critical weakness on hit. And critical weakness, I think, increases the crit chance that enemies take by 0.5% per hit or something like that. So if you can stack that up a bunch, you can add a bunch of crit chance. So more crits, more damage, more everything. A crit, as far as we know, affects everything. Crits affect bleed now, crits affect poison now, crits affect melee hits, so everything. If I can get more crit into my minion damage and get them to be critty, that's definitely strong. When you play Path of Exile 1, the damage you notice from going from regular minions to minions that are critting a lot is not even close. The crit minions just mash. They hit so much harder. So this is, we'll see. I don't know. If I can get it and it doesn't hurt me much and I'm getting enough mana back from these guys dying with Essence Harvest, I may just want more triggers in there. I got an extra one that I haven't even looked yet. We'll take a look. And then Skeletal Brutes seem like the best minion to have permanently. They're melee. They're hard-hitting. Sounds good. I want hard-hitting. They can stun primed enemies. More stun is good. So what I'm going to want them to do is, I don't know if this will work, but it looks glorious. So if they could get the behead support and steal a modifier from a rare enemy and then be relatively permanent, these guys could be like little walking headhunters. I don't know if it'll work or not. Headhunter's a belt from Path of Exile that when you kill a rare, you steal bunch of its modifiers and you get really strong the more rares you kill. Who knows? But it looks so cool I have to test it, so I can't not try it. Elemental Army, I want these guys to last, so they're going to have elemental resistances, be stronger, be tankier. I may not need this if I get enough minion life and sustain from the tree. We'll see what's out there. The tree's so limited you can't even tell, but you never know. If I don't need it, I won't use it. Minion Mastery. Minions really scale well from level of minion skills, so this is probably good. Life Leech. I want to keep these guys alive, especially if they're stealing. All of this will be contingent on Behead working. If they steal some really strong buffs from rares, I want them to stay alive. So I'm going to kind of go with the assumption that this is going to be all their damage when I get them to steal the right modifiers from rare enemies. So if that's the case, then I want them to stay alive, so I'm going to have them leech life, and then I'm going to assume they're going to be doing mostly physical damage, so that's what I'll support them with for now. We'll see. Could change. If this doesn't work, I'll have to come up with a different method. May not need them to stay as alive as much. Different things like that. Could drop some of the defensive ones. Could skip the life leech. Could skip the army. Depends. But if they're amazing because of this and I want them to stay there permanently, then I need to keep them alive. So that's kind of the skills that I'm planning on using. Who knows if this is going to work or not, but it seems like a really cool idea. The idea to have every time I summon a totem and I get out my spirits and I'm assuming strong, it's an ascendancy point. Usually stuff is strong in ascendancy points. Anybody that's played the Guardian from Path of Exile knows how big the mini pox is. Once you get that guy out, it's game over. You've just won the game. You don't even need to put on any gear anymore. You can just walk around with him killing everything for you. He's lasted through multiple leagues too, so who knows if these guys are amazing, they could be complete carriers. The puppy pox from the witch, the burning witch has the little burning dog. He could be amazing too. I don't know, but if any, either of these are anything like the Guardians, Pox, little burning guy, I can't remember what he's called. He's just very good. This build will be outstanding. And then it's just figuring out how to support those guys the best. Okay, let's look at the passive tree a little bit. It's janky and terrible. So what I've got right now is pulled up minion nodes, and you can see most of them are up here in the witchy area, but there's a couple down here. Little minion damage, so not too far away. I don't know why that's highlighted. It doesn't do anything. This looks like your the chaos resistance. Keep your minions alive with chaos resistance. They get a little more max life. Minion and spell damage probably won't have any interest in going for those. That would be good if I can get there, but who knows. Area of effect could be really good if the Snaring Spirits have an area of effect. You never know. Here's more defenses for your minions, attack for your minions, revive for your minions. All that could be good. You don't know. Gain some life. They revive faster. That could be really good, but I might not care either. I might not need these. I don't know. This looks good. Minion accuracy is very strong. And then up here you got reduced reservation. Seems very good. Lets you summon more. Safety, physical damage reduction, and chaos resistance. I think this is the withered one. Yep, it does wither. Okay, so other than that, I'm not going to scale totem nodes unless there's something that gives me more totems. I'm not going to try to increase my totem damage or anything like that, but I would take another one if I could get it, depending upon how they reserve spirit. So minions are allies generally, and there's a couple of really good ally nodes. Allies regenerate 2% of your maximum life per second, so this could really keep them alive. We'll see. And then they have more attack speed. Very good. You get a little more attack speed, and over here they get accuracy, and you do a little more damage while you have an accuracy. All of that should help with the armor break, etc. So pathing looks like you're going to want to get these 3 nodes for sure. Who knows if there's more? We don't even know. There could be better. First thing I'm going to do when I log in is open this tree, search a bunch of features, make some notes, and then kind of plan my pathing after that. But go through here, you might come up here. You know, this seems a long ways away, but these travels aren't bad. You know, if you get out to here, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a jewel. Very good. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, another jewel. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, another jewel. 16 to get into this minion area, and this other minion area right here is not far away. So pathing, it doesn't look terrible. We'll see. All of this is completely up in the air. Playstyle wise, I'm assuming I can use my totems to make relatively safe areas to do my channeling with my resonating shield and just watch my minions fight around me. You know, bosses could just obliterate the whole minion army and my totems instantly, and this whole thing stinks. You never know. Or if I can get them to survive, they can be very strong. Minions can be very good. So I think I got my first shaper kill on that, whatever that strike is that summons those minions back in Path of Exile. Long time ago. One shaper was a tough boss. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to run around and see what happens. See if this build works and see if it's cool. Just like everybody else that's playing this game will be doing. It's going to be great. I can't wait till tomorrow. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below to help with the channel, and I can get more content out. I'll be doing updates, and like I said, you never know. I could get to the loading screen and go, I gotta play Monk, and just scrap this whole concept when I get there anyway. So you just never know. But as it is right now, this is what I'm leaning into because I really want to see what these guys do. They seem so cool to me, and they're such a mystery. It's awesome to have a mystery like this in a video game. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.